Welcome to Chillicothe Public Library. It's exciting to see everyone here tonight for the second program in our That's the Spirit program series on distilling in Peoria, in the Peoria area, past and present. And this is the present part. We have with us today Jeff Murphy, who is the head distiller and operations manager of J.K. Williams in Peoria. He joined J.K. Williams in 2020. His favorite part of the business is, after being in the brewing and distilling industry for over 15 years, for him it's creating something from scratch that people enjoy, and the technique and time and patience it takes to see it through. Some of his favorite hobbies are family time, fishing, and motorcycles. This is according to the website, so you can adjust anything that you want. J.K. Williams is a distillery named after an actual J.K. Williams, who was a successful distiller who turned bootlegger during Prohibition. And his family kept his original recipes safe for over 100 years. And today, J.K. Williams, the distillery, carries on his legacy and gives a new generation of whiskey drinkers a taste of the golden age of whiskey in Peoria. So here today, we are going to learn a little bit about that distilling process and the art and craft of it, and also some of the art and craft of how to taste whiskey as well. So with that, I will give it over to Jeff.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Just to let you all know, those that are in the front seats get the bigger samples. Not too late. I'm just joking. That's all fine. So anyway, my name is Jeff Murphy, like she said. I've been distilling with J.K. Williams. The history of J.K. Williams goes back to 2012. John and Jesse Williams started as a family, went through their family heritage and found the stuff on that. They started that in East Peoria. They ran from 2012 to 2017. That's when they stopped production and distribution. Andy Ferris, the owner, he bought it in 2019, hired me to re-envision the brand and try to bring it back up. When I came here, people said, why in the heck did you move to Peoria? Well, and this is the reason why. Peoria has such a great history of distilling that a lot of people don't know about. Even one guy on our board who was with Woodford Reserve and Brown-Forman for 23 years out of Kentucky doesn't even know the history of Peoria. On top of that, the family name and everything else, Peoria has to be put back on the map as far as distilling goes. So that's one of the reasons why I came up here to do this. We're going to go through several subjects today. I can go down the rabbit hole several times. If I go too far, just raise your hand, let me know. If you've got a question, raise your hand, let me know. If I say I'll touch on that later on, then I'll touch on it later on. But we'll go from there. So history of distilling outside of Peoria. Acadian tablets from 1200 BCE is the earliest evidence of distillation. That was for perfume. Same thing with medieval Muslims and everything else is all about the process of distilling. You can do essential oils and stuff like that. That's where it comes from. The first book on distilling was published in 1500s in Germany. There's so much more in between. There's arguments back and forth on this stuff. It really just depends on who you talk to. Inside the United States, it's hard to say as well. From a rum standpoint, I say a rum because that's what it came from down in Hispaniola is what they called it. That was in the mid 1600s. So my background, quickly, I won't bore you on it, is I grew up in a small copper mine in Arizona. Joined the Navy as a hospital corpsman. I did that for 5 years, met my wife and got married in Guam. She was in the Navy. She retired Navy as a chief petty officer. Became a police officer in Maryland. Got into brewing I started home brewing in 95. Got into professional brewing in 2007 and distilling in 2010. So my Irish trifecta is I went from treating drunks to arresting drunks, getting people drunk. So that's the easy thing into it. So I was doing basically from my brewing standpoint, from home brewing, professional brewing in Singapore, San Antonio, got into professional distilling in San Antonio, went to Massachusetts to do rum. It's my favorite spirit. We're doing, and then from a year in rum in Massachusetts, did 8 years running a facility in Louisiana called Bayou Rum or Louisiana Spirits. And then came up here to redo this brand just because I thought it'd be a fun thing to do. And it's important to keep the history alive to a certain extent. So that's my quick background. So I'll quote rum on a lot of things, but it's also just one of the varieties of spirits. So it came over from Hispaniola in the 1600s. Rum was partially responsible for the Revolutionary War due to taxation on sugar, molasses, and the rum itself. So outside of the Crown, which was most of the Caribbean and the South, if it wasn't part of the British Empire, you were taxed upon. So there's a thing called the Boston Tea Party. That was partially due to the taxation on spirits and sugar and molasses. That was part of the thing for the Revolutionary War as well. And we didn't put their rum or the molasses in the harbor. We put their tea in there because we didn't care about the tea. We just wanted the liquor. So rum is technically America's spirit. It goes way back farther than whiskey does, to be honest with you. Just kind of an interesting thing. Back in 1919, there was the molasses flood of Boston. A 2.3 million gallon tank burst on a hill. They said it was a 6-foot high wave of molasses that ran at 35 miles an hour, killed 68 people and 12 horses. They said it stained the Boston Harbor brown for months. And they could smell molasses for decades when it got hot because it just kind of went into the soil. So kind of interesting there too. Whiskey came to the United States with the German, Scottish, and Irish immigrants back in the 1770s. We got a late person showing up tonight. So I mean, it really goes in. So basically, as the United States is a melting pot, which we totally are. Basically, when he came into this, so rum came up because they were doing sugarcane in the South. German, Scottish, and Irish immigrants were doing more grains, which would be whiskeys and so on and so forth. So it really just became where it came from of what you were making. Beer as well with the Germans, especially. So when it comes to spirits, we're just going to dive into spirits kind of as a broad category right now. We are based upon 27 CFR Chapter 4 Standards of Identity in the United States. And it's kind of hard to see right now. I wasn't sure how this would show up, but we have whiskeys up here for the time being because we're going to focus on that for the most part tonight. So bourbon whiskey is whiskey produced in the United States, not exceeding alcohol at 160 proof at distillation. Has to be barreled at under 125 proof for a minimum of 2 years in brand new charred American oak. Those are the standards of identity for bourbon. It's still a whiskey. All bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbon because bourbon is America's spirit to a certain extent. Rye whiskey is the same exact thing, except it has to be 51% rye. Wheat is the same thing, except 51% wheat. Malt whiskey, same thing, but 51% malted barley, and so on. Those are just standards of identity that we have to have in the United States. Straight bourbon whiskey, straight rye whiskey, straight wheat whiskey is anything that is older than 2 years old out of the cask. So if you ever have a question on what dictates a liqueur or a spirit or whatever it is, you can just Google that and it'll pop up and you'll get all this. It goes all the way from imports to vodkas, all the way down the realm. So types of spirits depends on the base used to ferment. Whiskeys are mainly grains, like we just went over, rye, wheat, barley, spelt, whatever you want to do, it's there. Rum comes from sugarcane. Rum is the most bastardized spirit in the world. It can be made anywhere in the world as long as it comes from sugarcane. Depending upon the country you come from, dictates where or what part of the sugarcane plant it needs to be from. So as far as the United States go, any part of the plant from fresh pressed juice all the way up to the different grades of molasses and all the sugars in between is a rum. In the UK, it has to be from juice or molasses. And the East Indies in the Caribbean, has to be from juice or molasses. Can't use sugars and everything else. So the US is a little bit different in that. Brandies come from fruits such as grape, apples, and such. Inside of brandy, you also have some subsets as well. You have cognac and armagnac. Those are based out of certain areas in Europe, and those have to be from grapes. Depending on where it comes from, how it's distilled, dictates whether it's cognac or an armagnac. Sake is rice, tequila is agave, can all be made in that region in Mexico. We can do agave spirits in the US, we can't call it tequila. All it is syrup from the agave plant. And vodka depends on the country, but can be any source that is still to neutrality. So when I say that is above 190 proof, it's considered neutrality in the United States. Proof or 95% alcohol. So proof is basically double, just messed up on that, I think, but proof is in the United States, proof is used only here and in South Africa, I believe, still. Proof is 1 physical gallon of alcohol at 50%. So that's proof gallon. Everything else is considered a wine gallon. So it's just a physical gallon, doesn't matter the amount of alcohol that's in it. And the reason why we use proof is one of the old adages is back in the day, let's say 1820s, 1840s, Midwest expansion, you wanted some whiskey. The guy said he makes whiskey, and he says, well, prove to me that it has a high alcohol content. So he put some gunpowder in a spoon, poured the alcohol over it, and light it with a lighter. If it flashed off, then that was proof that it was high alcohol. That's one of the original stories of proof. Also, when you see the old jugs of whiskey and it has 1 X on it, 2 X's or 3 X's on it, that used to be one of the stories for that is how many times it was distilled. So the more X's on it, the purer it was. So that's another thing for the whiskey side in the United States. So types of stills and white copper. So I want you to find the pointer on this. So keep an eye on, there's gonna be another slide here, the next one over, at the angle of those copper pipes up there. So it's gonna come into play here in a second. So these are pot stills. A lot of those keep on going back into Scotland. Is where this is Glenfiddich, I think, if I remember right. These are the pot stills. They do a triple distillation. This is what's called the whiskey helmet. That's what's called the gooseneck and the line arm. So the angle of the line arm helps dictate the flavors that come through. And the reason why is because it's copper. I'll go into that in just a second. These are column stills. They're just kind of plates. And we'll go into that here in just a second as well. So white copper, it's the best conductor both in and out. That's why it's in the base of a lot of our pots and pans at home. Conducts heat and releases heat pretty fast. The height of your copper, whether it's the column or the gooseneck or the helmet, gives you theoretical place because as it dissipates heat, it causes the alcohol to condense back into a liquid and go back into the kettle. This provides a natural rectification that increases the purity over time. Copper also acts as a catalyst. Sulfur compounds are produced during the fermentation process, and in the vapor to liquid phase, as those condense back into liquid again, it neutralizes those copper compounds. It makes it a more flavorful spirit. If you see a stainless steel system, there's some sacrificial copper in there at some point in time because you have to have that copper contact to have this happen. If not, there's some high sulfur notes, almost tastes like rotten eggs. I've seen it, I've tried it. Trust me, it tastes like rotten eggs. And on the third point, it's pretty. When it's all nice, shined up and ready to go. So we saw the pot stills. So we have continuous column stills. And basically for continuous column stills, you have to have a large volume of fermented mash. You have to have a lot of steam, clean steam going into that. You get a large volume of spirit out, but you need to have the infrastructure both front and the back of the house as far as getting rid of all that wash that comes through it to, which is dryers, screens, dewatering devices, stuff like that, to make sure that you can keep up with the whole program. Most of your modern distillations, your mainstream brands, whether it be Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, whatever, they all do column distillation. Very few of them do pot stills. If they do, it's kind of a side project and use that as blenders. But basically what happens here is you have your fermented mash that comes in through the top over here and is used to cool, be your condenser for your spirit. You have your spirit plate where your spirit comes out of, everything else drains back down to the bottom, goes into your faints, gets pumped back over to this side. Your cold wash, as it heats up, gets introduced to the top. Your steam comes in here, it flashes off all the alcohol in between and condensates. That moves over here into the rectifier as it goes up. It's kind of a continuous system, but you have to have this is where your temperature of your mash going in, the temperature of your steam, the flow rate, everything dictates how the system works. It gets up to a certain capacity, and it'll run that way as long as you want it to run. Let's say ADM, which is the new biourge plant downtown, they run 24/7. I went down there a few weeks ago. They have, I think he said, 7 million gallons of fermentation capacity, and they don't stop. They have several stills that they run stuff through, both for food grade and industrial grade alcohol, and that's how they run it. Basically the same process. Pot stills. Pot still, you take that same ferment that you have, which we do pot distillation, you put that into a still, you heat it up, you extract the alcohol and a little bit of water into it, and then you dump it and start over again. As far as distillation goes, water boils at 212, as we all know. Alcohol, depending upon the concentration, boils at a lower point. So let's say we do a 90-10% mash for the wash here at J.K. Williams. That starts to boil off about 196 degrees. So I know this alcohol coming off is going to come off at about 25 to 30% alcohol. And then we'll run that until it reaches 212 in the kettle. And we do that because we know that that's all alcohol coming out before 212. Once it hits 212, we know we're just getting water, and then we'll dump it, restart the process. Basically, we reduce it by a quarter. So we do 240-gallon fermentations right now. We've got a bigger system on the way. We have 120-gallon wash still. We put 120 gallons in, so we basically split that ferment in half. Put it in the wash still at 9 to 10% alcohol. We get about 30 gallons out at 35 to 40% alcohol. We'll do that for the second batch as well. It strips out the entire ferment. We'll have roughly 60 gallons at 35 to 40% alcohol. Put that in the spirit still, run it again, make the cuts, which we'll go into here in a second, and then we'll get the final spirit out of that. So that's where it comes into the heads, hearts, and tails cuts. In Scotch, they do this 3 times. They don't really use a column at all. They just kind of mix their paints. So you saw the ones that angled down earlier. These ones here are horizontal. And what happens here is as those alcohol vapors come up, the level of those line arms that come over dictates the flavor that comes over as well. So it comes up, the other ones went down, that's going to be heavy flavor. The ones that are level will be kind of your mid-grade. The ones that are going up, as it gets away from the heat, they'll condense, get more reflux back into the still, and it's a little bit of a lighter product. So I know it's a lot to handle. Sorry, by the way, interrupt me if you have questions. The cuts in a spirit run, when you're doing pot distillation, you have heads, hearts, and tails. Alcohols, so that wash that goes in, 60 gallons that goes in at 35 to 40% is a conglomerate of 80 different kinds of alcohol that some we know, some that we don't know, some we care about, some we don't. Esters, flavors, congeners, everything else. The heads that come off to start are your lower boiling point alcohols. That stuff moonshine that makes you go blind. Methanol, which The modern stuff, modern yeast that we use now doesn't really create a whole lot of that. But there's also a lot of acetaldehyde, propanol, acetone, all that comes off. Those are your lower boiling point alcohols. So we let that go. I rub it between my hands and I smell it. If it's funky, I let it go. When the last thing that comes out from a smell wise is acetaldehyde. It smells like green apple. So if I rub it between my hands and I smell it, it smells like green apple. I'll keep doing that until it starts to fade, and then I'll start tasting it. The last thing to come out taste wise is acetal, and that is what gives you that high alcohol burn, but at a lower threshold, it's very sweet. So when that sweetness starts to come through, I'll make a cut and I'll go to hearts. The hearts is what we're going to use as the final spirit. I'll run that for a couple hours, and then towards the end, it starts to get bitter. That's the higher boiling point alcohol will start to come off. That's your, let's see here, see if I can remember my chemistry here. That's amyl alcohol, isoamyl alcohols, some of the compounds that come through. It's very bitter. Alcohol as a whole comes through basically evenly across the board. So we're just kind of looking at that cut. Once we get to that point, I'll make a cut to tails. If I want to reclaim it, I'll reclaim it and I'll run it again to get more alcohol out. Same thing with the heads. If not, I'll just discard everything. If you imagine, let's see, take a yardstick, for example. And the yardstick is your, is all those alcohols and esters combined. What I do as a distiller is a sliding scale depending upon what I want to make. So if I'm going into barrels, I may go down to 9 inches on the heads cut and may go all the way down to 30 inches on the tails cut. Everything in between is going to go into barrels. If I'm doing a light whiskey or I want to make a vodka, I may go all the way down to 18 inches for the heads cut and come in as far as 24 inches for the tails cut, and that's going to be my hearts for the spirit. So it really depends on what you're making. So the tighter the cut, the cleaner the spirit is, and you can make what you want out of it, whether it's rum or whatever. So some things are made for aging, some things are made to drink quickly or short term. And then as far as, so once that whole process is done, what's left in the tank, as far as stillage goes, you dump it, you fill it up with a whole nother batch, and you start over again. That's how it works. So this is another type of pot still. See how that goes over real steep on the gooseneck there? That's going into a retort, what's called a thumper. So you fill this up with, some people fill it up with alcohol and herbs or whatever you want, some sort of aromatic. A lot of people for rum, we put the tails into that. And basically it allows for a certain amount of enrichment because so that as it comes down, that pipe there on the line arm actually goes down to about here, and it's filled up to about here with alcohol, with liquid. So as it bursts through that liquid, and it actually makes a thumping sound. That's why they call it a thump cake or a thumper. Certain things are removed, and it enriches, goes up higher in alcohol, and then it goes over to here. That's a secondary thumper, and a lot of places go into a condenser at this point. So it really just depends on the style that you want to make and what you're looking for. So it has a higher proof than a plain pot still, and usually has a lot more flavor to it. Hybrids. So this is kind of the modern way of doing things. So you have your typical pot still here, and then you have your wire arm coming off, but over here, what you can't see is there's valves. So you can go straight to a condenser over here and do what you call your stripping runs or do a whiskey run or whatnot, or you can bypass here, go into these columns and make it kind of like a mini continuous still where you can actually get higher proof out if you make like vodkas or light rums or light whiskeys or something like that. So this is kind of what the newer craft market does here, is this little hybrid to give them options to what they can do. That's where, I mean, we've been doing that for 30 years now, at least. But it's it kind of gives you more options, but it's still batch. So it's cheaper than running continuous, but gives you more options as far as pot distillation goes. So the last thing, so once you get it into spirit, you have to age it for most bourbons, whiskeys, so on and so forth. So this is one of the last unknown processes due to Mother Nature. The wood's different. Every barrel is different. The aging environment's different. This is how most things are in Kentucky, with your different rates and going up, stuff like that. This is more of a modern way of doing it now, where it's all palletized. There's some debate on the process on what is better or worse due to airflow. So you have your angel share, which is the evaporative side of the spirit. That's where you. So they're 53 gallon barrels. After 4 years for us, we lose 33% here in Illinois. So, however, we've gotten some wheat whiskey that was done this way, and they've had the same extraction, but their angel share was a lot less, maybe 12% for same time frame. It depends on your environment. I was doing rum in Louisiana. We lost 7% the first year and 3% every year after that. You lose less up north. The hotter you get, the cooler you get, humidity, temperatures, it all kind of goes into play on that stuff. So varies by company. Everyone in Kentucky usually does your typical system like that. Some of them are doing things like this now. Same thing with Ireland and Scotland are starting to do that as well. Just see what they can get, see if they can get a higher barrel density in their warehouses versus flavor profile. This is called a Solera. Solera means from the soil. This is what we did in Louisiana for our rums. This is what a lot of rums are done down in the Caribbean. So basically, this bottom layer here is the Solera. You fill that up with your spirit. You start aging it. You build this layer. You put spirit on top of that, and keep on adding layers and spirit until you max out on the top. When you're ready to harvest, you only harvest about a quarter to a third of this bottom barrel on each one. You take this barrel here, you split it between those two to refill it, and you keep on doing that down the line. And before you know it, you have these filled back up again, and this has roughly a quarter of a barrel left in it, and you put new spirit on top, but this has already had some aging in it, depends on what it was, and it's going to have some early oak notes, even though it's fresh spirit. So that's how they do it. Started back in sherry in Spain. They do it a lot with what's that vinegar? Balsamic, thank you. That's it, balsamic vinegar. They do a lot with balsamic vinegar as well. Very labor intensive. They started experimenting with whiskeys. Some people have a Solera system going on now in the whiskeys. It really just depends. A lot of it's marketing, to be honest with you. But it's very labor intensive. Final processing. So once it's aged, we harvest the barrel into batches, usually spaced on year. We blend the final batches based off multiple batches that we harvested. So in bourbon, it has to be the youngest spirit is the age statement on the bottle. So whether I have a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 10-year-old blended into that, it's still a 4-year-old as far as the TBD is concerned. Blending is just as important as the fermentation distillation side. It's an art to itself. And that's where these guys, where your Jack Daniels and Jim Beam and everything else tastes the same across the board. They've got chemists and all these fancy things to make sure that that happens in their process. Filtration happens, quality controls, make sure it tastes across the board. I do the same thing. I'll blend it down, and when I have a product that's ready to bottle, I'll taste it 2 batches behind me to see if it's within a certain realm of flavor profile. As long as it's close, I cut hairs. I know my product. As long as it's close, I'll prove it, and we'll move on to bottling. And then it goes to distribution from there. All right, now for the fun part. That's what we all came for, right? Let's drink some liquor. All right, so can I get some help passing these out? So we're gonna taste 3 products tonight. We're gonna do the bourbon whiskey, the rye whiskey, and the wheat whiskey. We're gonna start with the bourbon. Yep, want to. Thank you very much. We have some extras, so if you want to hand those out while I talk. So these are different types of whiskeys in the United States. This is at 90 proof. The mash bill is 80% corn, 10% wheat, 10% barley. It's aged for 4 years in small barrels. Now, so when I get into these tasting notes, it's all relative. Everyone tastes and smells different. What tastes like vanilla to me tastes like nougat to somebody else. So take this with a grain of salt to a certain extent. So, but this should be kind of consolidated down to some rough ideas. So the nose on this is, I need one. Sorry about that. Everyone got one? All right, so, and these are plastic cups, so it's kind of hard to smell out of these instead of proper casing glasses. But just on the nose, you get some cherries, some oaks, hints of tobacco. If you're not used to tasting spirits straight, here's a quick hint. Our natural instinct to, when we swallow, is to inhale. And what that does is take those alcohol vapors that are in your mouth, you suck them into your lungs, and that's why everybody hacks, okay? So what you want to do is take like a half breath in, swallow, taste the spirit, swallow, and exhale. Don't inhale, exhale. It's kind of counterintuitive to start, but you get some retronasal flavors out of that as well. But you can drink Everclear this way, and you'll be fine. So I don't know if anybody has those cherry oak and hints of tobacco in the nose. It depends on the person. On the palate, you're gonna get some dark fruit, some sandalwood, hints of vanilla, and cinnamon.
Batteries.
Yeah, that's what my wife says too. Batteries low. So go ahead and smell it, and then breathe in a little bit. Breathe out. So at 90 proof, is that helpful, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's still 90 proof. Don't worry about it. So when I say dry with cinnamon, if you ever had like, what's the cinnamon bubble gum? Big Red. Big Red. Big Red, after you chewed it for a long time, you kind of get that dry, woody cinnamon note. That's what that dry cinnamon flavor is like to me. That's where it comes into play. Comes in 90 proof. This is original juice that we bought with the from the previous owners. This mash bill is staying the same for this brand. Along with the rye, which you're going to taste next. I can get some help with that too. So y'all drink this up, talk amongst yourselves.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So the recipe, is it identical to the recipe that existed in the original? Stipulations or?
Yes.
So, but the ingredients the same, they were cured from different places, right? So like the corn, barley.
Yeah, so they came from different places. The yeast is different as well. The yeast makes a big difference as far as what your overall does affect your esters and your fuels. They say that the recipe that they were using for the bourbon is there's a great recipe. There's not proof of it. That's what we have to go off of. We know he's a real person who got his fortune up there. We know he was a distiller there and he was later back then got ran out of Victoria by Al Capone and the Neal brothers. The storyline is there. He's a real person. Unlike people that just make one up. We're like this. Basically, what I want to do is make J.P. Williams and Jack Daniels. That's kind of my goal. So.
You know, is it in bond, and 100 proof or?
So bottled and bond, you go ahead and bottled and bond is If you go in that 27 CFR, the bottle of bond regulations are in there. Has to be over 100%. Has to be, the source of grain has to be between, I think it's July and December or January to June.
Okay.
It has to have proof of grains being used in that time frame. And then it has to be for a minimum of 4 years versus 2. So that's bottled in bond. And all these old ideas of bottled in bond and straight bourbon whiskey was a quality issue back in the day. Because as soon as, let's say I make a bourbon mash and I go down and distill it, and I'm under all the things, and I just put it into wood, it's a bourbon. It's not a straight bourbon. It has to be treated to be a straight bourbon. It has to have those other ideas to be a bottled in bond. So as soon as it touches wood, it's bourbon. Doesn't really matter much what it is. So
This first one we tasted was that.
this is the bourbon. Now we're gonna taste now is the rye. Yeah, so rye is a little bit different. So the mash bill for this is 90% rye and 10% barley. So if you imagine white bread and stuff like that, it's gonna be a little bit different flavor profile. A lot of bourbons are rye. So where we have 10% wheat, we'll have 20% rye or something like that in it. So it are sweet.
Can I drink this the same way?
You can, yeah, absolutely. So just take a breath, taste it, swallow, blow out, and breathe in.
Like taste leather.
You can get leather in there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. I get aged leather and cherry. I get the rye in there as far as the bread goes. My sister-in-law makes rye bread every day. She's got a starter. She makes a loaf every day. Sends it to whoever she wants to send it to.
So you said some things were made to last for a long time, but some things are short term. So what's like an example?
So as far as the distillation process goes, that's a good question. So if I broaden my cuts out, right? It's on that yardstick, right? So let's say I go from 8 inches to 29. That's going to be a long-term aging product because I'm going to have a lot more esters and flavors in there that need to oxidize over time, which is what happens in the barrel. So that's going to be like a 6 to 8 barrel product. If I make it tighter and go from a smaller cut standpoint, make it a little bit more cleaner, then I'm going to get something that's going to be ready to get 4 years. It's not going to be as rich as the other stuff. It's still going to have different flavor. Yeah. So it really just depends on what you want to make.
And how long do they really last? Like a bottle of bourbon?
Okay, so it's a good question. No, it's a good question. Oh, unopened, that's fine.
Really proud.
Unopened, that's fine. If it has a natural cork in it, it will shrink over time. It might have some evaporation. If it has synthetic cork in it, it's gonna be fine. As soon as you open it, it's gonna start oxidizing. Every time you pour it, it's oxidizing. My idea is, as soon as you get down to say a third or fourth bottle, don't save it, drink it. So if it's something that's special to you, what you want to do is buy some small bottles down like some little Boston bottles, U-line or something like that, and then you pour those in and make them smaller, and keep it as little oxygen going to this one as well. So that's it.
I was just wondering.
So these two are 90 proof. Yeah, and then the question was, are these two brands 90? They are. The wheat, which you're going to taste next, is actually 94. And this goes to the blending side of things. So where I said the blending is kind of an art form as well. I blend for balance. Some people blend for volume. Some people blend for I just want to have something that burns going down. I try to blend for balance. I look for. It depends on the product and how long it was aged, to be honest with you. Yeah, so that's the blending side. That's what I say. That's as much of an art as anything else. So the wheat, even though it's 94 proof, it drinks smoother than these two.
Is there a traditional percent for hard liquor that our most liquor spirits 80, or is there a percent that they mostly are?
So, good question. All spirits, if they have a standard of identity, let's say rum, vodka, whiskey, bourbon, whatever it is, has to be above 80 proof. It has to be above 80 proof. Below that, some countries will do, say, it's fine saying that if it's 75 proof or 70 proof. But in the United States, it's 80. And
is
then
the higher the fruit, probably a little more expensive to produce it then?
it is because so we have the taxes that we pay right now originally used to be $13.25 a proof gallon. So that one physical gallon at 50% alcohol was that amount. So we finally just got some parity with beer and wine, where if you're at the craft side, you get so now we do the first 100,000 proof gallons at $2.70 a proof gallon instead of $13.50. So we save a lot of money. Basically, over that 100,000 proof gallons, we save $1 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the difference in the cost. We're not there. We won't be there anytime soon. I think last year, we sold a total of 12 or 1,300 proof gallons, and I got 100,000 proof gallons to go. Until I get to that level. But the way we got that passed is even the big guys like Jack Daniel's, Jim Beam, they get the same benefit, but that's nothing to them. So as far as their volume goes, right? They're doing millions and millions of cases a year, so it really doesn't matter much.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Jim Beam does not have a cork, it's a screw cap.
It's a screw top, yeah.
But how long, when we open it, how long will it last?
As long as it seals up, it depends on, we were talking about
Fill it up.
earlier. So anytime you crack a bottle open, you tip it over and pour stuff out, you're introducing oxygen. The products in there are gonna oxidize a little bit. And then say you cap it up, you let it sit for 2 years, it's gonna taste completely different over that 2-year time frame. If you have something that you love to taste, let's say you've got a Pappy or you've got a Blanton's, and with your Blanton's, you keep that for special occasions and you only drink 4 shots out of it. So now you've got, let's say, 600 mLs out of the 750. I would find a 500 ml Boston bottle you can find cheap off a U-line or anything else that can seal up airtight. I'd fill that up to the neck, seal it off, whatever's left, drink it, and enjoy it. And then if you really have something that is good, you want to, as you drink it down, you want to put it into a smaller and smaller bottle that will keep it fresher than it would be if you just left it in that bottle with all that open air on top of it. As an example, when I was doing rum in Massachusetts, his grandmother died in Maryland. They found a pre-prohibition closet. They found a Maryland rye from 1876. And he's like, what do we do? I said, well, we need a lot of bottles. It was a 3.5 gallon jug. And it was wax sealed, so we knew it was pretty good. I said, we need a lot of small bottles, and we need some a neutral and inert gas, say argon or something like that. You don't want carbon dioxide, so it has oxygen in it. And so when we crack this, we pour these out first, we purge them, pour them into these bottles, seal them up, and whatever's left, take it to your buddies, drink it, do whatever. It was an awesome rye, and to taste something pre-prohibition was really, really cool, but he didn't follow my idea, and he goes, and the next time we tasted it, it tasted like acid. Because as soon as you introduce oxygen to it, it oxidizes all those flavors that were in there, and it's so it was a waste. But you know what? Live and learn. So now he knows.
The next time he has a grandma who has something from 1860.
That's right. Well, he has plenty of bottles, so now he knows he's got a lot of bottles that have different stuff in it or sealed up with wax.
Oh, wow.
So it's good. Also, this is another thing too. If you have a bottle of spirits that has a natural cork in it, do not leave it on its side, like wine. So wine is fine on the side because it keeps it moist and the alcohol content is low enough. If you have spirits that has that way, then you get what's called cork paint. And it becomes very bitter and off-flavor. So never put a spirit that has a natural cork in it on the side. Either remove the bottle or put it into a smaller bottle that has a synthetic cork or a cap on it. Or if you really want to keep it, put the cork back in and wax seal it and keep it that way. Put a little candle wax on there. paraffin wax something, because it will change over time. All right, last product is our wheat whiskey, Bridge Series. So,
Bring it on.
bring it on. Yeah, that's my type of woman right there. Bring it. Yeah. Thank you. All right, so the problem we have now in J.K. Williams is that we had tons of barrels that we bought with the company, but they didn't produce between 2017 and 2021 when we started. So there's a 4-year gap. So the Bridge Series is to bridge that gap between what we have now and what we have in the future. And it's going to be this is going to change by the batch. This first one is 16 barrels of our wheated bourbon that was distilled to a higher proof, so it's more of a light whiskey, and then mixed with 16 barrels of 95% wheat whiskey, which was sourced. It was sourced from Indiana, MGP. Not afraid to say that. We're open with people. They make good product, so it is what it is. This is going to have a completely different flavor profile than the ones you had before. It's going to be a lot lighter. I say this is kind of like if you're an entry person to whiskeys, it's even like a Canadian style or a Scotch style. It is a lot lighter oak, although this is also 4 years old. It's a completely different product. This was in the vertical barrels, like I said before, instead of horizontally done. These were in the new style that they do now. Yep. So more creamy notes of vanilla and spice. I say it's Scotch-like. It's light. Also Canadian style, which is also a lighter Scotch that can blend stuff in. So it's a little bit different.
I don't know why I've never had Scotch. I just never.
There are wheated Scotches or wheated bourbons that are out there too. You just don't know. You gotta look for that stuff.
I
You gotta
think
go over the back.
sometimes, yeah, with like even the bourbons and everything, I feel like, I don't know, as far as like marketing goes, I'm never quite sure what.
A lot of this is marketing. So what I would say is whenever you look at a bottle, all right? So let's take our bourbon, for example. Look at the back. It'll say distilled and bottled wine, right? That way you know it was actually distilled, aged, and bottled in with our company. With the Bridge Series, it says produced and bottled wine instead. Okay, so that means that they didn't distill it.
They got it
Either it was something that they bought and aged in house, something they blended in house like we did. But we even said on here, it is 73% Indiana and 23% or 27%.
Okay, because I know like with the blonde brothers, they do that a lot.
Correct. And a lot of things will say possibly Indiana. That's what they say. It's probably Indiana, it's usually Indiana. They've been doing that for a long time. It's pretty good stuff.
They wait for their to mature too, right? So
Yeah, exactly. They use it to, exactly right.
It's like black man, so they're not selling their own.
They're sourcing it for the time being and other stuff. And we've got some aged product that we're selling now, but we're doing this, which is sourced and blended with some of ours. All our stuff is making with them. So
Did you run into kind of probably the Bourbon Brothers guys? They actually stopped selling. Apparently, and had to do with craft distillery versus bigger. They reached a number of
yeah, so
sold.
and that changes depending upon sometimes they say, okay, we can go to this now.
Yeah.
And they'll say, no, this isn't in. So there's certain things that go through the American Restaurant Association and stuff like that. They take in DISCUS, which is the distilled industry spirits of the United States, or something like that.
It was in Illinois, it was a tax.
It was taxed. So Illinois is very difficult. Illinois is a pain in the butt when it comes to distilling.
Yeah, they have, and then they had a limit of one bottle for free.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the way it is. If you want to buy it at their thing, you'll get one bottle.
Right.
Louisiana was none. We changed that when we were down there to get one case per person per month. They can't keep that. They can't keep track of that, so it didn't mind my one. So,
Is there a curious having things on, if you look at actual real cost of patent versus what goes to the street, like, you know, like, there's no regulations in terms of that, huh? Like.
So it's a great question. So he's asking about Pappy's and is it worth it? So the producer of Pappy's, the family group, they say it's worth $120.
Right.
And that's what their retail price of that is. And that's what they sell it at to distributors. So they can sell it for $120. Now the secondary market is a different beast by itself. And so just like shoes, glasses, whatever it is, the secondary market is what blows things up. Blanton's, I used to love Blanton's, but now it's $200 a bottle.
It's ridiculous.
I'm not paying $200 for something that fills my liver and my kidneys, right? So I look for something, and so it really comes down to what you want, what you want to do, what you want to taste. You can find something you like, which is cheap, that's great. So we went to Kentucky, went to a company that deals in old aged products and pre-prohibition and everything. I said, I love Blanton's. I'm not paying $200 a bottle, which they had it on the shelf $200 a bottle as well. I said, what is something that tastes similar but cheaper? And he goes, go to the far right, second shelf down, third bottle in, it's called chicken cock.
How much was it?
$55. But they carry it here in Benny's. It's a taller bottle. It has a honeycomb embossed bottle to it. It has a big rooster on the front of it. It is a very good whiskey for $55. It's not as good as Blanton's, but it's pretty dang close. We did it side by side. It's pretty dang close. It's a very good product. So you never know what's out there. The problem that we have now too is that when you go down that bourbon and whiskey aisle, there's 300 different things. There's a lot to deal with. So what I tell people is find what you want for your daily drinker or your weekend drinker or whatever. And then you find something where you break it out to drink. So I say drink for the moment. I have my everyday, I might mix it into a cocktail, an old fashioned or something like that. If I'm playing poker with the guys, I bring something up that's maybe $60, $70.
So what's your everyday?
My everyday is a mix between what I make, obviously, like my children. I also like the chicken cock. I do the Old Forester. I like that a little bit too. And then if I'm doing poker, I'll do something a little bit different. I'll do maybe I'll kick it up a notch. I do a whiskey pig or what's that?
That's Irish whiskey.
That's Irish whiskey. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question and share. Like the names are those, who comes up with the different names?
It's whoever produces it.
Who produces it gets their name in?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Do you want my name? Do you want my name? Well, yeah, of course. No, I don't like, no offense, but traditionally I don't like whiskey at all.
Right.
And so 2 weeks ago, this was intrigued me to come here. My husband's friend had me try something and I'm wondering if you've heard of it. It's called Screwball. It's a peanut butter.
Yes, so
It was
Screwball.
so delicious.
Screwball's a liqueur technically, so it's under
He told
proof.
us it was a whiskey, but I didn't.
Well, it has whiskey as the base.
Okay.
So it's just like Fireball and everything else, right? So if it's under 80 proof,
Okay.
it's either distilled spirit specialty or if it has a lot of sugar in it, it's liqueur. So that's where you go back into it. Now, I will agree, if you're not a whiskey person, you just haven't found your right whiskey yet. Because there is a whiskey for you out there, whether it's Irish, American, Canadian, Scottish, there's a whiskey for everybody.
Well, I really like that 94 proof.
The wheat, yeah, it's very, like I said, it's very light, right?
That was the very best one.
Yeah, it's an entry level, right? Like a bourbon. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Bourbon.
Very delicious.
I like
Thank you.
bumps.
Thank you. There's a question over here.
Did you talk about your cooperage and your barrels?
So the original cooperage,
But I have it quiet so I can hear. Yeah, sorry. We got conversations over here, we got conversations. here.
so barrels are a very unique thing. So the cooperage that they were using before is Black Swan. Black Swan was a very small cooperage. They did their barrels a little bit different. They had it was called the honeycomb barrel, where they drilled little holes inside of it before they charred it. And that gave them a bigger surface area to pull stuff in and age it quicker. There is science to that says that's good. There's also science to say that that's bad. And the reason why I say it's bad is because you're making your steak thinner, which is why we have 33% evaporation rate after 4 years. The barrels are very dynamic as far as they don't know exactly what's behind it. They know the chemistry behind it, but how it happens, they know there's oxidation, there's what we call esterification, which is all these chemicals that are pulled out of the wood. They esterify, which is oxidized, and they become new compounds. What brings those compounds out depends upon the toasting, the charring, the wood grain, where that wood was harvested from. It's very interesting how that comes apart and how that goes down that rabbit hole by itself. As an example, there is a molecule in the wood that, when charred and toasted, becomes a vinegar molecule. That vinegar molecule is extracted by the alcohol, and when it esterifies and oxidizes, it becomes a compound that we perceive as vanilla. They call it vanilla, but it's actually a vinegar molecule that didn't even exist in the wood until it was actually toasted and charred. So it's very bizarre in how this works out. Not all barrels are the same. Barrels will taste different. I could put the same liquid in 20 barrels, and each barrel is going to taste different. That goes back to the blending process as well.
Is it a US law that you have to use one of the barrels?
For bourbon, yes.
And you can only use them once?
Correct. For bourbon,
They're
rye.
sold overseas, and I know they're used in Scotland, because I went to spread that.
Yeah.
And they had a cooperage that we didn't.
Correct.
Use barrels.
No, you're absolutely correct. So with any of the whiskey varieties that we talked about earlier, whether it's wheat, rye, bourbon, corn, whatever it is, it has to be in a brand new barrel. Once you dump that barrel, you can't put whiskey back into it, call it bourbon or rye again or wheat again. Now it's just a whiskey. It's not bourbon, wheat, or rye. So then a lot of those get turned around the world to be made into rums, scotch, tequilas, whatever.
How does that work when you're aging it in the
So you can't call it a straight when you're doing the Solera Slurry. So that's one of the things. Got a question over here?
I was just, you can buy the barrel in the US.
You can. Yeah, absolutely.
Because of distilleries.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one, like I said, once the bourbon distilleries use them once, they gotta get rid of them. They don't want to risk putting those back in their system accidentally and then running an entire. So if you have one barrel and a batch of 2,000 barrels that was in a used barrel, you can't call that bourbon anymore. It's just whiskey. So that's the difference. So that's why they get rid of them as soon as they're done. So they go to rum, tequila, scotch,
Where do those barrels go?
all over the world.
I mean, is there a market like locally to buy them?
So most of them are in Kentucky because that's where most of the bourbon is done. We get ours from Calvin Cooperage a lot. And we get them used. We can also buy secondary use barrels that had sherry in it or something like that. I'll use some for like some of the stuff I'm dumping now. I'm going to put rum back on top of it because some spirits like rum are not made to be in new barrels because they're too strong. Bourbon has that flavor profile that actually can handle that amount of oak to it, so to speak. So, and back to the thing about Scotch, there's a company out of South Carolina. It's called again. Anyway, they're a Scotch company, and they made a cooperage. And what they're doing now, so there's barrel shortage going on. There was a big barrel shortage between 2012, 2014, and now there's another one going on now. So these guys started their own cooperage from Scotland, Speyside Cooperage. I think they're out of Carolina someplace. They have their own cooperage here. They build barrels, they lease them to the bourbon company, and then once the bourbon company's done with them, they got a constant supply of barrels coming back in. They want their own supply of barrels guaranteed coming back out in the Scotland. So.
I happened to visit this cooperage from them in Scotland. And they took the Jim Beam barrels, and what they do is they knock them down, they make them smaller.
Palletized them.
Totally redo them, and then they recharge them.
Yep, they can scrape it out, rechar it, reuse it several times, and then when they get too thin, they start leaking more high evaporation rates, so on and so forth. So, all right. We'll have more Q&A at the end, but I'm just gonna blast the rest of the stuff. So, basics of the bar. If you have a home bar, you want something to be able for people that they want to have a cocktail. You gotta have your base spirits: whiskey, rum, vodka, and tequila. You need something as a bitterness. Angostura is the norm, but they have some citrus options out nowadays. Citrus, whether it's fresh juice, even simply lemonade, simply orange, whatever works as well. You need mixers: soda, tonic, something carbonated helps. Garnish is usually citrus, but cherries, green olives, like making martinis and stuff like that is good. And then keep some sugar in the back. Again, cocktails can be either tart, sweet, or balanced in between. So that's how you kind of do things. Cocktails, the classics are old-fashioned Sazeracs and sidecars. Are old-fashioned. The basics are for the classic is bourbon, bitters, sugar, and a cherry with or without the juice of the orange for a garnish. New old fashions, you have your smoked, they smoke glass, and all this mixology type things, which everybody jacks up the price, but I mean, it really doesn't matter in my mind. Just give me an old fashioned. Big giant rocks of ice. Many variations that can be done on that. There's tons of them you can look up. Sazerac is a rye-based cocktails originated out of New Orleans in the mid-1800s. It was originally known as brandy, but changed to rye in the 1900s. Basically, you're just making a martini with rye instead of vodka. So there is some absinthe in this, and basically it's a 1/4 ounce because basically you put it in your glass, chilled glass, and just kind of swirl it around and kind of coat the sides, and you just dump the absinthe out. Then you put in some chilled rye whiskey, add some bitters and a few percent syrup if you want it. And that is a Sazerac, which in my mind is a rye martini, basically, in my mind. Because instead of vermouth, you're using the absinthe. So Manhattan is another one with the wheat whiskey you can use. Sweet vermouth, there's dry vermouth, a little bit of bitters. They have this garnish with the blueberry and some citrus, but some people do it with like a brighter thing in the spring. So they use strawberries instead of blueberries, and they add a little bit of lemon to the mix, or the mix just kind of make it a little bit brighter. So now, just to blow through that, final thoughts and questions. Anybody?
So you said you restarted in 2019, but
2021 is where we actually started production.
But the new owner started this whole endeavor back up. Was it 2019?
He bought it from the one of his brothers in 2020. So, and then COVID happened. He brought me on in July of 2020. I came up here in October of 2020. And then, so we used to be at East Peoria, now we're in the old Fields Dry Cleaners and off of Industrial Road, off of Allen. Okay. Is where we're at now. Thought I had that on here. Apparently that's the wrong program. But we have a tasting room up there, so you can come in and have a cocktail. We've got a vodka out as well. Some gins. Okay. But yeah, we have 1,000 gallons. So right now the original system was 240 gallons. We have one fermenter. We have 1,000 gallon system and 4 1,000 gallon fermenters on order. It'll be here in June. So instead of making 1 barrel every 2 weeks, I'll be making 10 to 12 barrels per week. So we're going from 23 and 30 gallon barrels to the standard barrel. So we're really kind of blowing it up a little bit.
Do you have any idea, just in terms of the startup capital it takes to do do you have any transparency to that? Like what's the cost?
So I do. I would say at a minimum, depending on which one, if you're going to do vodka or whatever, you need a minimum of at least $3 to $5 million. If you want to do something that's going to get out there and actually get some traction and build a business and everything else. Place in Louisiana, we were 10 to 15 million. So it really just depends upon what you want to do. We were doing rum down there. it's a very, and now in this environment we're in now, like barrels, 18 months ago, a brand new barrel was $195. Now they're $380 to $410.
Almost double.
Almost double. So,
But we have an issue getting glass also.
yes, glass is an issue as well. Glass, aluminum. The reason why is this, and barrels are the same way, and the reason why barrels are this way too, and glass as well, is so bourbon's been on a tear for the last 20 years. Whiskeys in general have been on a tear for the last 20 years, including Irish, Scottish, Canadian. It's just been blowing up right and left. So everyone started these expansion projects, and not just due to COVID, but a lot of these expansion projects started coming online starting in 2018, and some of them aren't even be online now until 2025. But those expansion projects are thousands of barrels a day. So these cooperages can't keep up with stuff. So really, it comes down to a lot of how much do you want to pay? They want us to have contracts full with glass. Glass is the same problem. They want to have us contracts for that for 2 to 3 years out the door. I can't tell you what we're going to be selling in 3 years. I mean, Jack Daniels can, right? You know, so.
My daughter's head of the bottom division.
Uh-huh.
Kentucky. She told me that they think they're gonna do a plastic.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they cannot get it.
Plastic, and also, so the TPB authorized 700 mLs, which is mostly a European brand outside the United States. But they've actually authorized that in the US as well. So companies that are making 700s, that might be an option. I have to change the labels around a little bit, say 700 instead of 750s, but they might be able to do 700 mLs instead. So a lot of things people are talking about that as well.
He's already changed it.
Yeah, and it's not gonna get any better, that's for sure. It's gonna get worse for it.
What's the shortage of glass?
They just can't get glass.
There's too many people ordering glass, so
Too many people are what?
ordering glass, too many people want it. So as an example, in Louisiana,
Is it cheaper or why would they?
well, it's your classic bottling process, right? So your class is,
It's a tradition.
well, it's traditional, but also your quality is in glass. Usually when you go to plastic, you're in the bottom shelf, rock gut stuff. You don't want that. Same thing with screw tops versus corks or synthetic cork. But in Louisiana, we had OI, which is based out of the United States. We had their, and Guadalupe, Mexico was their plant. To get a deal on glass, we had to do 100,000 bottles per size per run. So now we had 700, 750, 1 liter, 1.75. So we had to have enough capital to absorb $400,000 worth of glass per year just to get into their system.
Wow.
So it's really bizarre. I think you're going to see more co-ops. I can see grain. I think you're going to see distilleries and breweries. Breweries have the same problem with aluminum cans. They're having the same problem. I think you're going to see co-ops going in and saying, okay, we're going to go to this style of glass, and then we're going to combine ourselves and say this is going to be an order, just so we can get in and get the discounts that we need, because
Or Jim Beam's gonna start making their own.
they can, but there's also, there's economies of scale. I mean, you got to build a brand new glass plant from scratch in this day.
I mean,
Yeah,
glass is
it's crazy.
recyclable, so
Crazy.
these must not be recycling it on a large scale.
Yeah, and recycling is as good as it should be.
It's a joke.
It's
90% of the
tough to
plastic
do.
that we all recycle actually
Goes
gets
in a
recycled.
trash.
I used to be the recycling educator for Peoria County.
Yeah,
It's a joke, there is kind of a cell that we're all getting. And
A lot of
it's
these go
only very
overseas.
small percentages actually being recycled,
Yeah.
that we are recycling in good faith.
paper, glass, and aluminum used to go to China
Yeah.
to be recycled, or India
Yeah.
to be recycled. They put an entire ship full of recycled goods to go over and be
Ship it
recycled
over,
into new products. And a lot of them just don't want to do it anymore. It's not working for them either. So it's tough, and I think there's some new age stuff that's coming about. I know one of them was using some sort of vegetable-based plastic that will naturally degrade that we're trying to work on.
Wonderful.
The problem with that is that it's so new, they don't know how long it's gonna last.
And for the alcohol industry, that wouldn't be a.
Yeah, you don't want a bottle that's 2 years old, all of a sudden start leaking on the
Yeah,
shelf,
'cause
right?
they-
So there's some stuff that we gotta get through and stuff like that too.
Putting flavors.
Putting flavors into it. I think someone else is using bamboo.
That's,
So
yeah, that's more durable.
it is more durable, but I've had some glass caps to keep the flavors in, and it actually comes through that as well. That kind of makes it woody. There's some stuff, I mean, that could be a coating, you know. There's things that are out there. We'll get through it in the end because everyone wants their alcohol.
Well, I'm not addressing this.
We might go back to 5-gallon jugs and everything else for all we know. You know, we gotta get through it, right? So, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't know who's behind me, but I'm a Peorian. You never mentioned Hiram Walker.
No, well, they did the history a couple weeks ago, I thought.
Oh, did they?
On the 10th, I think they did. the
Oh, I
history.
wasn't here for
It was-
that.
Yeah, so,
Because I mean, you never mentioned, don't you?
yeah, so Hiram Walker, the plant down there, close to 83, used to be the Great Western Distillery, pre-prohibition.
Right,
There have been no less than 5 to 7 distilleries running at any one given time before prohibition. There was a total of 75 different ones that were going on at any given time. The problem with that was after prohibition, that was the life of Peoria. Peoria was a whiskey city. And all the taxation came from alcohol back in the day. They say Peoria paid for the Civil War. Peoria paid for 45% of the income tax in the United States pre-prohibition. And then they didn't start true income tax until after prohibition because you didn't get it from alcohol, where are you gonna get it from? So that's when income tax actually started, was after prohibition. Some of them came through also, what was the brewery? Pabst Brewery was here until 83 as well. In the Heights, yep, exactly right. We were trying to go in there and put the distillery, but the people that owned it then weren't quite ready for someone to come in and do it, so. Yeah, so it'd be fun. So Hiram Walker became ADM. ADM is now by Urja. We've been down there 3 times. We're talking with them about maybe starting to age barrels in those warehouses that have been sitting for the last 40 years. They're not using them anymore. Half the elevators are gone. We're looking at doing a lot of things. And we're saying this could be because they already have the system there, they don't have to build them. There's a market for aging barrels that you can produce them all day long, but where are you gonna put them at? So we're talking with them about trying to get that up and going again. So I've been there a couple times, and it's a beautiful facility. It's still the largest in the continent, in the United States. It's the second largest in North America, and the only other one that's bigger is the Hiram Walker plant in Canada, which is what they moved to out of here. But they used to make rum down there. They had a tilapia farm down there in the 90s. They made cordials down there. It's very fascinating, the history of Peoria and whiskey that a lot of people just don't know about. And again, that's why I came down here, was to help tell that story. Yep, at the top, I saw the tanks. I saw it myself. It was from 91 to 94, or 89 to 94. Yeah. They're trying to find something to put the corn.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do if you're mashed and once it's.
So once we do a couple different things. So we partner with a few farmers. So like right now, our corn for bourbon, we get that from Untitled Farms in Morton. So we get the corn from them. Once we make the mash, I usually pump it into a tote, and a farmer will come pick it up and feed it to their cattle or chickens or whatever. If nobody wants it, I'll put it into a different salad tote and I'll de-water it and I'll just throw it in the dumpster.
Stockyards right next to Hiram Walker because.
Correct.
It's the cattle.
Yep. And they send a lot of their stuff via truck to that place as well. And actually, surprisingly, a lot of their mash, used mash, they call dried distillers grains. Once it goes through their system, they put it in a barge and it goes overseas. So yeah. So, but there's plenty of uses that's used for. BioUrge is a very green company. They're looking at bringing in centrifuge corn oil, a lot of different things to kind of maximize it out before they send it out. Anybody else?
You said you have one firm that you work with. How picky are you with? I watched the Minnesota.
Sure.
So I'm like, you like messing with that.
So since we don't have our big system up and running yet, we're just using their typical beat forms as number 2 Dan. We have them and a few other farmers that will say they'll plant whatever we want, heirloom wise. Exactly. So once we get to that point, we'll go down that rabbit hole, but for right now, we're just using one like everybody else. Anybody else? All right, well, I thank you all for coming. Hope you guys enjoyed and learned some stuff. Jeff at JK Williams Distilling, if you guys have any questions. Our tasting room is mainly Friday through Sunday, 4 to 8 on Friday, noon to 8 on Saturday, noon to 5 on Sundays. We usually have live music on Saturdays as well. You can come out and get a cocktail. We just got our full bar license, so probably in the next month or two we'll have beer and wine as well. So come out and see us. We do actually. The social media is mainly our thing, Facebook.
Don't have anything around the place, right?
Well, we did. We had billboards for a while.
I've never seen it. I've never heard anybody in my neighborhood even talk about it.
Well, that's why we do things like this, right? Get the word out and things, kind of guerrilla marketing. I mean, we're still young. We're still trying to get all the stuff up and running. We had billboards for a while. We had signs out. City keeps picking them up and throwing them away. So we can only do that for so long.
I mean, I'd like to see small business like you come to like program something down the road to get high traffic.
Yeah, so as far as distribution goes, we are in Hy-Vee, we are in all the Bennies in Illinois. We're in Fire Tuck. I mean, we're throughout the state of Illinois now, and we're into Wisconsin. So is our footprint. Yeah, I mean, it's out there. UFS is out there as well. We're down there. If you don't see us, you can ask. For Peoria South, our distributor is GM up north, Heritage, and it's the one that's here, basically the southern part of the state, down to the state line. But we're throughout the state now. I mean, and a lot of it is down to us as far as getting out there and promoting it, because the distributor is just like, you're one whiskey in our portfolio of 100 whiskeys. So we have to get out there and do it ourselves. So
I mean,
it's
I'm
kind of
not from here, and like within a week, you were the first people I heard
that's good.
of. I mean,
That's good.
honestly, it was like the first thing everyone talked about was chicken.
So we're trying to do things too, like our marketing firm. We have one out of Louisville, and then we also are with a group here in Peoria, which is they're in the old Easton Manor. Converse marketing, thank you, Converse. And they're trying to like maybe doing geotagging, where when people come in here, it's automatic to get a advertisement on their phone as soon as they get into the area. We're trying to do stuff like that. All that stuff costs money. Trying to keep the lights on, trying to make productions, trying to get everything costs money nowadays. It's not getting any cheaper for sure. So, but we are trying to get out there, and it's kind of a guerrilla marketing thing, doing events like this. Andy, the owner, is doing an event at the Distillery tonight as well. We do try to do 2 to 3, if not more a month. We have 3 signs outside of our building. Yeah, well, we're an industrial complex. Yeah. Yep. Now you go down North Industrial, past the Midwest Food Bank. Right before you get to the end, there's 2 signs on the street and 2 signs on the building. Yep, absolutely. So anyway, if you like us, get out there, drink us. We're not the cheapest. Help support.
That is the first time you've been at a library.
No.
No?
It's not. Actually, it wasn't here, but I actually did one in a mortuary.
Oh, cool.
So It was a side run on the mortar, like, yeah, sorry,
An Irish funeral?
Wait, never know. Yeah.
Are you laying any of this stuff back to sit on it? You know, is there a plan to like have a reserve? like you
So
said?
all the rye is in glass now. The last 4 barrels of bourbon we just dropped, which is now 6 and 7 years old. It's gonna be 300 bottles. We're gonna call that black Zephyr. That's gonna be at 105 proof is what we decided on. It's gonna be a limited release. We have bourbon and rye in barrels now that are aging. Just gotta wait for that time frame to go, which is what the bird cherries. So, yeah. Awesome, guys.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.